Yo, what is up, everybody? Rasco back again with the final chapter of our story titled Friend, written by Skeleton Girl 95. Remember to use the links in the description, show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 17. Teresa was scared. She didn't understand what was going on. Nico said all he had to do was burn the tree and Friend would be gone. But he wasn't. He was standing right there, and he was angry. Teresa heard Nico let out a painful cough and turned to see Nico slowly pushing herself up against the wall. Teresa could see a small trail of blood at the corner of Nico's mouth before she wiped it away. So that's how you did it, huh? Friend gave her a sinister smile as a reply. Teresa looked between them and said, What? What do you mean, Nico? The doll. It's his. That's why burning the tree didn't work. He has two connections. The doll? Teresa asked. Before, she turned fast to the doll and went to grab it, but before she could, he was hit away. Teresa let out a sharp gasp as her body hit the ground. She didn't hit as hard as Nico's body hit, but it was enough to knock the wind out of her. Teresa watched as Friend walked towards the doll. And Nico noticed this as well, and she pushed her body off the wall, trying to grab it first. Before she could though, Friend grabbed her and slammed her against the wall. He wrapped his hands around her neck as he held her above the ground. Nico let out a struggling breath as she clawed at his arms and kicked her legs, trying to get free. Friend let out a sinister laugh as she started to squeeze tighter. Teresa just watched from the ground in horror. Stop. Please, Friend, stop. Teresa sat up and swallowed hard. Stop it. But Friend just continued to laugh as Nico began to slowly stop fighting him. Teresa saw this and she began to panic. Stop it, stop it, stop it, Friend, stop! Teresa looks around as everything around her goes black for a second. Teresa blinks, and when she opens her eyes, she's laying on the floor of her childhood home. Before Teresa can figure out what's going on, she's a little girl playing on the floor. She looks at the little girl to see it's herself as a child. Teresa tries to remember where this is from. She can't. She watched as her child self laughs at someone talking to her. Teresa pulls herself off the ground so she can see. To her horror, she was playing with Friend. Teresa put a hand over her mouth to keep from screaming. Before she could do anything, she heard the sounds of footsteps coming down the stairs. Teresa, Mama says it's time for... Who are you? Teresa heard someone say. When she turned around to see it was Nico who spoke. But she wasn't speaking to Teresa. She was speaking to Friend. Then, younger Teresa said with a laugh, This is my friend. Friend. Teresa watched as the same look of fear passed on Nico's face before she took a step back from them. Teresa, what did you do? You shouldn't be here. Nico began to shout. Her friend stopped her by slamming her to the wall, holding her by her throat as he did. Teresa watched in horror as her child self began to cry in panic. Friend, stop it! Stop! Teresa tried to make Friend let go, but she just phased through him. All she could do was watch the scene play out. Teresa sat there as tears began to form in her eyes. She watched as her younger self continued to cry and beg Friend to stop. Teresa looked away when she'd seen Nico had stopped fighting Friend's hold. Her younger self noticed this, and she let out a blood-curdling scream. Mama! Teresa heard footsteps rushing in from the back door. Teresa, sweetie, what's wrong? What the hell are you doing? She heard her mother start. Before her tone turned dangerous. Teresa watched as her mother grabbed something before she slammed it on Friend's face. Friend let out a loud hiss before he disappeared. Nico's body went limp when it hit the ground. Teresa followed her mother with her eyes as she bent down to check Nico out. Is she okay, Mama? She's fine, Teresa. Just lost consciousness. Now, what did you do, Teresa? He said he was my friend. Oh, Teresa, sweetie. I'm so sorry to have to do this to you, but we can't risk this again. Teresa watched as her younger self looked at their mother with curiosity. Their mother brought a hand up and put 2 fingers on her forehead. Please forgive me, baby. You heard her mother whisper, for her younger self let out a painful cry and went limp as well. Teresa walked over to them and stared at her mother as she held both Nico and Teresa in her arms. I did what I thought was right. Remember that, Teresa. Her mother was saying that when she looked up at her and noticed that she wasn't talking to the younger version of herself, but she was actually looking at Teresa's adult self as she spoke. So very sorry, Teresa. Before Teresa could say anything, everything around her went black again. She was laying on the floor around, looking at Friend and Nico. Friend looked down at her and noticed something different in her eyes. He let go of Nico, who let out a sharp gasp as she was able to breathe again. Friend walked to Teresa and bent down beside her. He snuck out a hand to touch her, for her head shot up as she tackled him. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Oh, do you remember it all now? Do you remember inviting me into your house? Do you remember me almost killing Nico like I just did? Teresa let out a cough before she glanced at Nico to see if she was still breathing. When she seen her chest rise and fall, she went back to glaring at Friend. I remember all of it. Let me tell you, if I didn't hate you, then I sure as hell do now. Teresa. Teresa stopped and looked down at Nico, shocked that she had already regained consciousness. Nico. And then when she helped her stand, all she told her was, we have to destroy that doll, Teresa. It's the only way. I told you, look, even if it kills me, I'll protect you all, he tells her as she slowly begins to walk towards Friend. Come on, is that all you got, huh? You call yourself a demon? Not even close. Before Teresa could stop her, Nico went charging at Friend, slamming both of them into the ground. Teresa was frozen in her place once again as she watched friend throw Nico across the room. This time, her body hit the coffee table and slid off the other end. Nico let out a few coughs before her head pecked over the table. That it, huh? Teresa heard friend let out a growl before he stormed over to Nico. Teresa was shocked. It's like friend forgot she was even there. Then it clicked in Teresa's head when her eyes fell on the doll. Nico was distracting friend, so she could destroy the doll, and hence destroying him. Teresa walked quietly towards the doll and snatched it up. Before she could do anything with it, she heard the sound of glass breaking and a loud gasp. When she turned to look, she seen that friend had thrown Nico into the window. He was glaring at them. She just watched as Nico started coughing again. She let out a loud gasp when she noticed the blood as well. Friend heard her gasp, and he turned to Teresa. He glared at her when he seen the doll in her hands. Give that here. Teresa couldn't get her body to move. She was frozen in fear again. And then you can hear Nico saying, "Don't you touch her!" Nico, you're still alive? He asked, surprised. Nico gave him a smirk and said, Takes more than a weak, pathetic excuse of a spirit to kill me. Is that so? It happened all too fast. Teresa watched as friend flung Nico again. Her body made a sickening crunch when it collided with the stair banister. Teresa let out a scream as she watched Nico's body fall limp to the ground. Nico? Nico? Teresa slowly began to cry when she realized Nico wasn't getting up from this one. Friend just let out a twisted laugh. Well, looks like that's all it took, huh? Teresa then glared at him before she snapped. Shut up. I've had enough of you. Friend noticed what she was doing and threw her away from it. She rolled when she hit the floor, got back up again. Teresa then glared at Friend as she stood in front of her, smirked at her. Can't win, Teresa. Nico's dead. You're not as strong as her, so what are you gonna do? Teresa took a deep breath and ran right at him. Before Friend could do anything, he slammed into him again. They both rolled around the floor, and Friend tried to grab the doll as Teresa kicked at him. They continued to fight before Friend was able to flip them over. The force of being flipped made Teresa drop the doll. He let out a quick gasp as he sat on top of her and began strangling her. Teresa let out sharp breaths as she used one arm to claw at him and the other to reach for the doll. She started to lose consciousness as her body and her vision began to blur. She then glanced over to Nico's lifeless body, and a tear fell from her eye. Friend then turned to her and laughed. Isn't this fun? This is great. Teresa looked up at him and smiled, and Friend just glared at her. What are you smiling at? You are not my friend, he tells him as she throws the doll out the broken window. She watched as Friend's eyes go wide. No. No, 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 no. No. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. It's always your family's fault. This is not over. I'll be back, he hisses as he lets her go. Teresa hit the ground with a thump as he watched Friend completely disappear. Teresa laid on the floor and closed her eyes. It's over. It's finally over. But at what cost, though, sadly? Boy, you take a nap and miss all the fun, huh? She heard someone say. Teresa opened her eyes to see Nico laying beside her. Nico, is that really you? Or is this your spirit? Well, considering I'm still bruised, beaten, and bloody, I'm gonna say I'm still alive. If you won't, so I'd hit you. Yeah, I know. Then they both sat in silence for a moment before Nico spoke. I'm not gonna seal her gift, Teresa. You know that, right? I figured as much. But you know, I'm okay with that. Good. By the way, how do you think Jimbo's gonna take the house being destroyed? Don't worry, we'll worry about that later. Let's just lay here and take a breath. Fine. We will have to make sure that tree goes out. You just couldn't let me have a few minutes, could you? Nope, Nico said, popping the pea as she did. Teresa smiled at her sister before looking up at the ceiling. Teresa laid there and thought about everything that has happened in the last few days. Yes, her daughter made contact with an evil spirit that tried to kill them. But because of the reconnection with Nico, she never thought that would happen. She's happy with how everything turned out. But something was still bugging her in the back of her mind. Could Friend really come back? The end? Now, ladies and gentlemen,